Hey besties and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about some more K-pop opinions I have. It's been a while since I've done this and I have new ones I want to talk about. Now, let's get started with the video. I've actually seen this happening a lot recently and honestly, I just think it's weird and kind of defeats the purpose of having a bias. Although everyone has their own reason for biasing someone, such as their personality, talent, or just vibes, they're biasing because they're naturally drawn to them or want to bias them, not by pressure. For example, let's say someone's bias in I've used to be Yujin, but after people talking about how underappreciated and unpopular Liz is, they bias her because they feel bad. If anything, I'd imagine those idols wouldn't feel great knowing the main reason why fans bias them is because of pity. You shouldn't need to feel bad for biasing a more popular member of a group you like. It's supposed to be fun, not full of guilt and pressure. So, if you stan idols like Liz or Jung Aeon from Twice, bias them because you want to, not because you feel like you need to. Don't get me wrong, I love stayc and think they have great vocalists. However, I feel like they're better or stronger vocalists individually rather than singing all together. They all have very distinctive voices that shine in their own way, so when they all sing together it almost clashes and just doesn't mix well. Most likely, a lot of you all probably saw that video of Seun and Yoon singing a medley of songs like I Am, Cupid, and Love Me Like This. They got a lot of backlash and criticism for their vocals and how they sounded out of tune and just not good. Although I do think the hate is definitely unwarranted and unnecessary, I do agree that it didn't sound that good. You can tell that when they're singing by themselves it sounds nice, but when they sing together, it's almost like they're trying to overpower each other and end up being off pitch. Especially since their voices are pretty different. Like I said, their vocals in general aren't bad, but I think their songs or performances are better when they're singing their own parts. This doesn't necessarily count for all JYP groups all the time, but most recently, I've noticed that the company seems like they don't have any clear direction of what they want to do for groups like Twice, itzy and Mix. I kind of understand with Twice, since they're maturing and trying out new stuff, but from I've seen, it's almost like the company seems stuck and doesn't know what to do, because they keep giving them that 80s synth-pop sound, which isn't bad, but their concepts and sound just seem to have no clear vision. As for itzy, I think it's been kind of obvious that ever since Not Shy, JYP is just blindly throwing a dart and hoping that it sticks. Fortunately enough, most of their recent concepts have suited them, but it's almost like you can see them having a signature sound because it's there sometimes, but it's not clear. Of course, no group has to stick to one sound or concept, but take a group like Red Velvet for example. They change their concept and sound every comeback, but you know a Red Velvet song when you hear one. I don't think it's laziness at all, because I still think itzy's and Twice's music is great. But I feel like it's a bit messy compared to how it used to be, and I hope the company attempts to find a more clear concept for the both of them. Of course there are some exceptions like TXT and itzy, but for the most part, there's a lot of fourth-gen boy groups that just aren't hitting like they used to. I mean, I can't even name like 10 rookie boy groups that debuted after 2020. I don't know what happened, but it was to where boy groups were everywhere and really popular, but now it's with girl groups, which isn't a bad thing at all because I actually love that. It's just crazy how it turned out. The only boy group that I don't stan, but would keep up with sometimes is SIX and Inhippen, even though I haven't really liked much of the recent comebacks. Honestly, it's getting embarrassing at this point and I'm not even a boy group stan. Like these groups either need to find a better company or step it up because a lot of these girl groups have been devouring them. I don't want to go too much into their new song because I still want to review it in another video, but I feel like ever since Tomboy, their lyrics hasn't been the same and it's like the meanings are either all over the place or just don't make sense. I know Soyeon isn't fluent in English and I'm not trying to shame her or anything, but I feel like the English lyrics are the worst parts of the song. It has nothing to do with pronunciation, but the grammar and the sentences are just so random. For example, in her Tomboy rap, she says sometimes we swear without cigarettes, I like to on drinking whiskey I won't change it what the hell, like, What does that even mean? I do think the lyrics for Nude were much better and actually executed the meaning of the song well, but it's like with songs like Allergy and Tomboy, the meaning gets lost with the contradicting lyrics. One part of the song says one thing while the rest is saying another. I understand if she's purposely trying to make it contradicting, but it doesn't feel that way. I do think she's a good songwriter because she's shown it before with songs like Loona, Oh My God, and Lion, but it seems like she's trying to jam in pop culture references with no reason why and just putting random words hoping that it works. Unless the lyrics are horribly offensive and bad, it doesn't really stop me from listening to a song, but it is off-putting on how their lyrics are so messy. This isn't me trying to jump on the Soyeon hate train, because I don't think she deserves it at all, but even though I love their new concepts, the lyrics have decreased in quality and just don't sound right. Of course, groups like New Jeans and G-Idol don't count, but I think whenever groups have been doing Y2K or McBlink concept as a full comeback, some of them don't truly commit to the whole thing. Obviously, it doesn't need to be like a biblically accurate representation of Y2K, but I notice that either the styling and music video matches, but the song doesn't. I just feel like if you're gonna do the aesthetic or concept, then you should fully commit to it all the way. For example, when groups do a dark or horror concept, they go all the way with the styling, visuals, choreography, and even the album cover, and that's what it should be for the Y2K McBlink concept as well. Another thing I noticed is that some of these groups will kind of do a half-ass effort of the concept, like I want you all to go in and be creative with it. Of course the cute flip phones and going to the mall while wearing outfits inspired from early 2000s fashion is cute, but I would love to see groups or artists do an actually Y2K concept with cyber elements or do a full glitter Bratz Paris Hilton type of aesthetic. Even then, there's more aesthetics or styles within the Y2K or early 2000s that groups could do. Even though I absolutely love how more groups and artists are even doing a Y2K sound or concept in the first place, and I'm kind of taking what I can get, I think these companies need to realize that there's more to Y2K than just mean girls and fuzzy hats. But I will say most of the songs from these concepts have been great so far. I've seen so many people argue about how the 4th gen leaders or king and queen are, but honestly, I don't think there's any definite ones. In 2nd gen, Girls' Generation, Twenty1, and Missa were the leaders or queens at the time, while SHINee, Big Bang, and probably TVXQ. Then, in 3rd gen there was obviously Twice, Blackpink, and Red Velvet, then BTS, EXO, and 17 or GOT7. Now, there's no real groups that kept the title of 4th gen leaders. The only one I think of would be TXT, not because of my bias, but just because they've pretty much maintained a stable fanbase and popularity since debut. For groups like itzy and aespa, they would've, but they got hated on for some comebacks and haven't kept a stable public attention. Now, there's groups like LE New Jeans and G-Idol that are rising up. I feel like another big difference is that previous generations had a defining sound while the 4th one doesn't, which could be another why there's no defining groups. Of course this isn't really a bad thing because it doesn't matter that much, but I just don't think it makes sense when people argue about it when there's no permanent leaders. I can't be the only one that gets a little annoyed with how a lot of groups and artists have been releasing single albums lately. 1 or 2 is fine if it's leading up to a full or at least mini album, but just relaxing a bunch of single albums with nothing else is so weird to me. I'm glad that I've finally released a full album after all those singles, but I hope that New Jeans and especially Sunmi releases a full album soon. Like, I just don't understand how Sunmi is practically more than 10 years into her career and has yet to release 1 full album and only 3 mini albums. It's crazy actually. I understand that New Jeans is still new, but I hope they don't keep releasing singles and do a full album soon, because I personally think it's better for rookies to release a full album so we can see their potential more and really get to know their sound. This doesn't go for all groups, but it is apparent that a lot of big groups that have been around for a while has reached their peak. Some of you all might hate me for this, but yes, I think even BTS and Twice reached their peak before you all start shooting. This is not even a bad thing really. This doesn't mean that everything they released after their peak is bad and they lost their touch, because that's definitely not the case. but I feel like a lot of people see it as a bad thing. Just because a group may not be in their prime musically or successfully, doesn't mean they don't still release amazing songs or get recognition. For example, I feel like Feel Special or even I Can't Stop Me was twice as peak, but they still released amazing comebacks like Alcohol Free and Talk That Talk. It's just that theirs and other big groups' impact isn't as strong as it used to be. Now I know BTS might be a bit confusing to add since more people are joining the fandom every day and they're always talked about whether they're releasing music or not. But musically wise, I think they collectively reached their peak in 2020. Now, we still have to wait until we get a full comeback when they all come back, which will be a while. But what I mean with all this is that many of these groups reach their peak and that's not a bad thing at all. I feel like a lot of people think that just because an idol is writing or producing their own song, it instantly makes them amazing, but I don't think that's always the case. I'm not trying to take away from their abilities and the idols that are actually really good at it, such as Woozi Daehan, the BTS rap line, and more. I remember when people would talk about how blank member of a group should get the chance to write or produce a song for their own group, but we don't know what goes on behind closed doors in the sense that they could have tried it before but wasn't good at it so had to scrap it entirely. Of course it's impressive and amazing to see idols also make songs for their group and themselves, but you all gotta admit that there have definitely been some out there that have heavily missed the mark when writing or producing. I probably talked about this before, but I just really don't understand why people will see a slight change in an idol's appearance and instantly assume they've had plastic surgery, where people will either defend that idol with their life as if they've been charged with murder or they'll shame them as if it's a terrible thing. I don't want to go too deep into it considering the whole topic is a big discussion and people have many different opinions on it, but I don't understand why people defend them because it's not a bad or morally wrong thing. There's literally nothing to defend, because if they had something done, then they did, and it's not scandalous. It's also disgusting to shame them for having it as well, because most of the time they get something changed because you all were criticizing that same feature, but even if they did it for themselves, it still doesn't give you the right to degrade them. Overall, I understand being shocked by seeing an idol look different, but I think many people are overdramatic about the fact that idols do get plastic surgery sometimes. Now I know some of y'all may be confused by what I mean, but I don't mean general concepts because obviously every group out there has that. What I mean is that there should be more albums with a consistent theme and story that goes from beginning to end. Some of examples of this are Billie's debut album, Red Velvet's Feel My Rhythm, BTS's Wings, and aespa's Savage album. But there's more than that. The thing that all of these albums have in common is the fact that practically each song in those albums connect or share a running theme throughout it. I know it's somewhat common, but I just love it when groups make a whole story and theme for their comeback that's very detailed to the songs and all connect like a storybook and even have little films for each song. It's just so creative and unique, so I would like for more groups to do that. Although they're still around here and there, it's not nearly as much as it used to be. I do love it when members have a matching or color-coordinated theme to their outfits, but something about all the members having cute uniformed outfits just hit different. They're mostly really creative and cool while also making a name for itself. Like, y'all know once you see colorful jeans and a white t-shirt you automatically think of G, or seeing white puffy blouses with black bands and thinking of Loona's Butterfly. I'm not even talking about school uniform outfits, but the unique outfits for the concept that fits and ends up being so memorable. I just think we need to bring it back. Although every fandom has weird or just mean people, I noticed that in K-pop and a lot of group fandoms have so many hypocrites, it's insane actually. It just irritates me how y'all will preach about how it's wrong for minors to debut because they can't handle the criticism and pressure from the public, yet y'all are the same exact ones applying the pressure to them, mocking them for crying at an award show or for literally having a pimple, which is basically normal for every teenager. Like, y'all can't say you care about idols and their mental health if you're the one belittling them and pointing out every so-called flaw on them. I know all of us naturally judge people, but you don't always need to say it where these idols can easily see it. Honestly, it needs to be said because I feel we talk about how some idols don't suit orange or green hair, but never blonde. Now, this is not to say they look ugly in it, but just doesn't look that great. Although I think Karina looks so cool blonde, especially with that smoky eye and having it styled. That poor girl's hair was fried dyed and not laid to the side, only for black hair to be her superior hair color. I think the best example here is Irene. I don't know if it was a wig or what, but whoever put that on her, did her so dirty. This isn't really a huge opinion, but as a society, we need to realize not every should go blonde. And that's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you'd want, and have a good day. Bye besties.